So MMA has made its way to Netflix via Jake Paul and Most Valuable Promotions. We have a triple headline event here: Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, Francis Ngannou versus Another Victim, and Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. Plus some decent unsigned UFC talent and only one cancellation, which is shocking but also disappointing considering who it is. We're going to kick off at the top of the card and work our way down. We're going to talk about the main card and then maybe one or two prelims. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to pretend to know every single person on here, but we are going to go over what we do know, and that is our main event, or at least I think. We're going to start off with what we know, and actually we're going to start off with what we think is going to be the main event: Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. Two legends of the game here, two pioneers for women's MMA. And, I mean, good lord, right, first things first. How is Gina Carano 43 years old? And I had to say it in the preview, right, because we don't know what she's going to look like in the actual hexagon, which is the shape of the fucking cage that we're going to be fighting in tomorrow. But I had to make mention of it now. And that's the last time I'll mention it. Okay, I just had to put it out there. But her last fight was in 2009, so there's nothing to go off of here. This is just like a kind of legacy matchup. It's a boxing main event. It is what it is, right? It's two people past their prime, but they're coming back for one more payday. And in terms of a prediction here, Ronda Rousey via first or second round armbar. This only really goes to the second to me if Ronda wants it to go to the second. I think she could get it done in the first, but it's one of those ones, do you want to just squash it in 30 seconds and then... But then part of me is like, that's how she got over in the first place and why people really liked her, because she would just destroy people in seconds. And then obviously the promos and stuff like that are its own thing, and obviously how she looked. But this... Part of me just thinks this is going to go as long as Ronda wants it to go, and she might let it go to the second round. But if I'm predicting what I think is going to happen, what should happen, this is going to go probably about 90 seconds, if that, and then Ronda Rousey is going to grab the mic after the fight, and all hell is going to break loose. You can put these two things on your bingo card: a call out of Kayla Harrison, and probably a call out of Cyborg as well. So you can jot those two things down. And this is the thing, Ronda's last fight was in, 2016? You know what I mean? It's 10 years ago. She's closer. I mean, can we really say either of these two are close to their prime? But Ronda's at least closer. She's been active for longer, and I know that it's WWE, but it's still activity. We have no idea what Gina Carano's been doing for the longest time. So I think Ronda is the logical take here, and I mean, I can't believe this is scheduled for 5 rounds. You know, that is wishful thinking, and I don't even want to see this go past. I don't want to see this go past round 2, because it's just going to devolve into an absolute mess after that. But we're going to predict Ronda via first round armbar. I'm looking forward to this. You know, if you've watched the channel, I have a video on Ronda Rousey. She is one of the people who got me into the sport. She's one of the first people that I'd seen. Her and Conor McGregor around that early 2015 period, I want to say. So I'm actually looking forward to this, even if, you know, other people maybe aren't. I certainly am. But let's go on to what we think will be our co-main event: Francis Ngannou versus Philippe Lins. I mean, 30-pound weight difference between these two here. Like, this is weight bullying, and this is Ngannou by first round knockout. I'm going to tell you exactly what is going to happen here. I'm going to paint you an entire picture, and we're going to get into the fine details. This isn't going to be a Pollock. This is going to be a Mona Lisa, right? A Da Vinci special. So, first round, remember the Alistair Overeem knockout Ngannou had, where his neck like snapped back and he fell, and Ngannou landed, I'm pretty sure, some really super necessary follow-up shots after the fact. So think of that exact knockout. Ngannou is going to hit Philippe Lins with that same uppercut. And instead of Philippe Lins just, you know, his head snapping back and then he crumples to the floor, his head is going to snap back and actually snap off. Okay, there's going to be a round 1 decapitation of Felipe Lins, or we'll just call him victim. And Francis Ngannou is going to then pick up his head, right? He's going to stick his two middle fingers, his index and middle finger, in Felipe Lins' eyeballs, right? In his eye socket. He's going to put his thumb in his mouth, and he's going to go 10-pin bowling with his head. That is the only outcome for this fight. That is the prediction. That is the absolute, factual breakdown before it even happens. Ngannou, via decapitation, going 10-pin bowling with Lins' head. See, when I seen the weigh-in result, Lins is a light heavyweight. And this isn't Alex Pereira moving up to heavyweight here, right? This is Felipe Lins getting crushed by Ngannou. Ngannou weighed in 257 here, and Lins at 220. It's nearly 40 pounds, actually. Wow. So this is one-way traffic completely from the get-go. Ngannou, first round knockout. So 2 first round finishes in our co-main and main. Not bad, actually. I like that. The quicker the fight, the better for me. What I don't know, actually, next up, Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. I don't know if this one's going to be short. I could see this. This is another 5-round special. And I'm feeling Nate Diaz, and I'm feeling a submission, right? I know Mike Perry has been, again, going back to the activity here. Mike Perry's been more active recently than Nate Diaz. He's sort of become the king of bare knuckle. I don't know if you want to be the king of bare knuckle. That's just so fucking grisly to me. Like, these guys, these bare knuckle guys, and I get it, you're into that sort of thing. See, after a while, when these guys start getting cut, they look as though they're wearing a mask of their own face. It is just not, it's not good. If you're into that sort of thing, you're into it. I'm not judging. It's just, it's really not for me. But I can see Nate Diaz eating a few shots from Mike Perry in round 1, round 2, and thinking, nah, fuck this, and going for the submission, right? And I get that that's how he beat, I think his last fight was against Tony Ferguson, and that was years ago, wasn't it? Was that 2021, 2022? And he ended up taking it by submission. Remember, he was supposed to get sacrificed to Khamzat Chimaev, and because of the brutal weight cut situation, Kevin Holland ended up getting subbed in, and Diaz's life was saved. Oh, good times. Not really good though, it's kind of dark times for the sport. But that was a round 4 submission win for Diaz, and I can kind of see the same thing happening here where it goes sort of later on. I don't think this is going to be as early as the what do you call a fucking triple header? A main, co-main? They're all co-mains. So is this just another co-main event? But I think this is definitely going to be the longest of the 3. This, to me, could go to a decision. And if it does, I could see Mike Perry winning. I don't see a knockout. I don't see a TKO happening here for either guy. But I can't get the picture out of my mind. I can see fucking Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz, where Diaz gets beat up for 4 rounds and then just decides in round 5 here, I'm actually going to turn up for a minute. I can see that happening where the blood is just running. This could become a bloody affair. The last of Mike Perry's MMA fights have all gone to decisions, whether it's winning or losing. Fucking D-Rod, Tim Means, Mickey Gall. All of this shit, all of them decisions. So I could see, they were 3-round decisions though, I'm sure. So again, kind of different than going 5 rounds with Nate Diaz. I'm picking Nate Diaz by submission though. Round 3, I think. Round 4, I could see probably a rear naked choke. And I don't know what guy actually needs the win more here, because if Nate Diaz loses, UFC are still trying to get Nate Diaz back, and they want that McGregor trilogy. Does him losing to Mike Perry on Netflix, this card is going to get eyeballs, and we're going to come on to that in a wee minute, but this card is going to get a lot of views. And if Diaz gets beat up by Mike Perry for 5 rounds, does that impact the possible McGregor trilogy? Does that affect Nate Diaz coming back. I feel as though the fans already know what to expect from Nate Diaz, and win or lose, they're not really going to care because his legacy's already kind of cemented. But this could be a big win for Mike Perry if he is able to get it done. Again, I'm hoping that this is just like MMA on Netflix #1 and we're going to have a second card and a third card. And if Mike Perry can really put in a performance here and get a win, like, he could come back and be in another co-main event spot, you know what I mean? So this could be a big win for him if he can get it done. I think this is going to be a good fight. I think this will probably be fight of the night. This is going to be... I can't even say it's going to be the biggest spectacle because look at the main and co-main above it, Ngannou and, the bowling, going to the bowling alley, and Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. In terms of name value for the sport, Ronda is the biggest name on the card. As much as that might annoy people that don't like her, yes, she has a bigger name than Ngannou and Diaz. But next up, we have Salahdine Parnasse versus Kenny Cross. Parnasse is one of the people that I'm surprised that UFC haven't managed to snap up. 2-division KSW champion. For reference, Mateus Gamrot, also 2-division KSW champion, same divisions as Parnasse. Gamrot is ranked 7th in UFC. And I'm not trying to compare these two as actual fighters and their styles, but in terms of their accomplishments, they have literally the same accomplishment right there, featherweight and lightweight, 2-division champion in KSW. And he's able to make it to the top end of the rankings. And I know what you're thinking, number 7, top end. Look at the fucking guys that are above him. You know what I mean? It's Oliveira, Holloway, Arman, Elia, Gaethje, these kind of guys, you know what I mean? So he's number 7 in a stacked division. But back to Parnasse, I'm not going to pretend to have watched all his fights, but I have seen some stuff from him. He's got some pretty fast hands, a nice left hand. He likes to throw some high kicks. He has good takedowns from the back as well. One of these guys, you know when you see people take the back and then they try and immediately jump up for the rear naked choke? He's more likely to take him down and then attempt to choke from the ground. And having watched precisely 0 of Kenny Cross, that's actually how I'm predicting this fight's going to go. I'm thinking that Parnasse is going to win. I can't really pick a round for you, but I will say he is going to win via submission and probably rear naked choke. Kenny has a record of 17-4. All 4 of his losses have been by submission, 3 of which have been by rear naked choke. And Salahdine Parnasse is kind of specialised in the rear naked choke. Multiple wins using that submission in the last few years. So that is the only way that I see this going. And don't get me wrong, he can knock you out, definitely. But I think what's more likely here is a submission and in all likelihood a rear naked choke. That seems to be Kenny Cross's kryptonite and a bit of a specialty for Parnasse. So that's how I see that going. And the first fight of the main card, I don't know if this was always scheduled to be the first fight of the main card, but we have Junior Dos Santos versus Robelis Despaigne. And good grief, which way is this going to go? Junior Dos Santos has been out of the game for a long time. But then again, Despaigne isn't really that good. Despaigne has been doing karate and shit since leaving UFC, a lot of karate combat, and he's been picking up wins here, okay, in seconds, okay, 4 seconds, 12 seconds, 8 seconds, 20 seconds. These are some of his wins, okay, in karate combat. Obviously, karate rules. But when he last fought MMA, he was losing to Austin Lane. I can't pick you, bro. You can knock out all these guys in karate combat you want in however little time you want. Overhand right in 4 seconds, punches, again, just punches in seconds, just flattening these guys and KOing them. You can't knock out Austin Lane. Seriously? Austin Lane is a Chris Benoit fucking situation waiting to happen. He has been KO'd in hilarious fashion so many times that it's almost uncomfortable to think about the future for Austin Lane. And you can't knock him out, but you can knock out all these bums in karate combat. I can't pick you. I don't care how long Junior Dos Santos has been out of the game. Jose Mourinho talks about football heritage. This to me is MMA heritage, okay? He's going to be able to pick it back up. I have faith. I have faith in him. He's going to be able to pick it up and get the win, because he hasn't been active over these last few years, but when he was in UFC, he was taking on Cyril Gane, Rosenstruck, Curtis Blades, Ngannou. These are losses to guys when you're kind of at the end of your run and you're taking on the top of the chain guys at heavyweight. These losses are almost kind of expected. He's since been fighting bare knuckle, and he has a win over Verdum. But again, 2023, 2024, he's been out of the game. He is older. He is, how old, sorry? 42. So I'm not really looking too forward to the prospect of this fight, unless Junior Dos Santos can get it done, in which case I will be looking forward to it, because I would like to see the Unk get it done. And I'm going to predict him to get it done. This is only 3 rounds. I could see this being a decision, and honestly, if you want an honest prediction, this is going to be a decision and a coin flip. Genuinely take your pick. 29-28, either way. I'm edging towards Dos Santos, but it's purely nostalgic. I'm going to tell you, it's pure nostalgia. Nothing else. I have nothing else to go off of. The fact that Robelis can knock these guys out in karate combat in seconds, but not knock out Austin Lane, tells me the skill gap between UFC and karate combat. And Junior Dos Santos is somebody who made it to the very top in UFC. So it makes me think that Robelis isn't going to be able to KO him and isn't going to be able to knock him out. And I get that he's 42 now and probably pretty chinny. I just don't see it happening for Despaigne. And I'm going to say Junior Dos Santos 29-28 decision. The Unk is going to get it done. Now, I just wanted to run through a quick prelim fight here. Adriano Moraes versus Fumi Nakuta. This was supposed to be Mokaev on here, but there was some sort of visa problem or something like that. I don't know. He couldn't get into the country. I have no idea what the fuck is going on with that. And that's a shame, because I was actually looking forward to that fight. I think that would have been on the main card instead of JSD and Robelis. But instead, Adriano Moraes is second from top in the prelims, it's looking like here on Tapology. But he's up against Fumi Nakuta, who's currently 11-0, undefeated. I'm probably going to watch this fight, actually. Fumi Nakuta is only 30 years old, so he still has time. 11-0. See, that's the thing. I'm surprised some of these guys haven't been picked up by UFC. It's probably the fact that he has a lot of decision wins and not a lot of finishes. But he does have a couple of... excuse me. He has a couple of knockouts and a couple of submissions. He's kind of a grappling expert. He's been doing a lot of grappling matches. What's interesting here is that Moraes actually has a lot of a lot of submission wins. 11 of his 21 wins have come from submission. So it's an interesting fight, because are they going to counter each other because their grappling is both really strong? Nakuta is undefeated. A lot of decisions in there, though, which makes me think that he's just going to fucking stall this out on the ground. Again, I have not watched any Fumi Nakuta. This is just looking at the record and judging based off what I think, what this record speaks to me. I can see this being... Thank God it's only 3 rounds, because I could see this being a pretty boring grappling matchup. But I'm going to go with Moraes, because I think his ability to actually close out the fight, finish the fight, is just... It's a lot safer to back than a decision merchant. And I know that he hasn't been beaten yet. But when you're like a grappling expert and all you're doing is closing out decisions, granted they are for the most part. In fact, I think all of them are unanimous, which again just tells me you're going to be stalling this shit out on the mat, which is going to piss me off. I'm going to pick Moraes, and I'm going to pick Decision or sub, decision or sub. Again, another coin flip. But I think his ability to close out the fights, he's finished 15 of his 21 wins. I'm going to pick him to finish this one by submission. I think he's going to beat Fumi Nakuta, hand him his first loss. And hopefully, if we do get a second Netflix card, we do get the Makayev and Marias fight, because I thought that was actually a pretty good matchup for the two of them. And I was looking forward to it. I'm sad that it's not going to happen. But elsewise, on this card, we do have Alex Pereira's sister on here. And I mean, part of me just wants to pick left hook KO, but because she has to have some sort of fucking Poatan genes where she just was born with a devastating left hook. Like, surely, okay? Look, elsewise, on this card, I haven't really seen a lot of these guys, so it's going to be new to me. This is a big showcase for these guys and a big opportunity to put on a show. And that's what I wanted to talk about actually here at the end for Parnasse. Apparently UFC have tried to sign him, but the discrepancy in the money between him fighting at the top level of KSW and the initial starting contract for UFC is apparently just too big of a pay cut for Parnasse to take. If Parnasse can put in an impressive performance here against Kenny Cross, I think UFC might up the amount of money that they're offering him, and this could be a showcase for him to get signed by UFC. And I hope he does either... In fact, do I hope that he signs for UFC? It's all going to depend on whether there are multiple Netflix cards. Because if there's multiple Netflix cards, I would be looking to sign this guy and make him a main feature of these cards. But that's just me. I'm not the matchmaker. I'm not the promoter. We'll leave all the decision making to Jake Paul. The future of MMA is in his hands. But that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, which I know you're going to do. You're going to share this with a friend also. You're going to comment your own thoughts on this card, my predictions, and what is to come. I will have reactions to this card. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be pretty fucking good. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.